Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of A City Planner Plays City Builders, and we are playing Cities Skylines. And I've heard loud and clear in the comments that what you guys want to see next is a resolution to this traffic nightmare that we have at the entrance to the city. Right now what we have is an intersection right off the interstate and a variety of buildings coming off there. It's kind of a mess. I want to take a look at our traffic flow. 73%, not great. A ton of traffic on the way into the city. Now, some of this is to be expected. The suburban area that we built last time is still filling in. 68. But the real problem is that we have our industrial zones and our residential zones loading off this one intersection, and our interstate kind of abruptly ending. So we're going to find a resolution to that today, and what I'm thinking is that we're going to extend the highway around this bend and down to this intersection. We're going to find a way to loop this industrial area, so I'm thinking that this will be a collector road, maybe meeting up somewhere around this area or up here, something. I'm not 100% sure yet. And utilizing roundabouts to improve traffic flow. And I'm hoping to get this back to around 80. And depending on how much time we have, we'll explore alternative transportation modes. But I'm going to do this in real time, so some of this might be a little challenging. And as we're watching in real time, traffic flow is getting worse. So I'm going to pause this for now because we're going to need to do quite a bit of work. So I think where we're going to start out is just eliminating this altogether. Up to, well, let's just get rid of it altogether. And I'm going to disconnect it right here. And just take it straight back. So I find that it's very beneficial, at least for me, to build using just regular streets and upgrade them as I'm going along. So I'm going to do that today. Sorry, I'm just kind of trying to plan things out in my head. So I think I'll bring this down. It's about 2 spaces in between. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, so one of the issues that we have here is, maybe if I can get rid of some of these buildings. We have some grade issues, which is going to make a lot of this funky as we're going through. So I think, unfortunately, as I obliterate half the city here, I'm going to have to clean up this grade issue. And if I don't do that, it's going to create problems as I go to create the highway. So yeah, you can kind of see that here. There's a pretty significant slope. So I'm going to flatten this. This isn't abnormal for what you'd see in a highway project. These kinds of slopes aren't congruent with what you'd want to do. You want a highway to be predictable and flat, so you're willing to pay the extra cost to make that flat. And that's one of the reasons why you don't see a lot of highway construction without a lot of thought going into it. So now that we have that established, might change my approach a bit. Okay. All right, so yeah, let's just extend this out a little ways. Gonna back this up. bring that over here. Okay. So I don't love the grade still that we have. There's some issues there. You can kind of see that. So I'm going to continue to remedy these issues. I want it to be as flat as it can possibly be. Okay, so now that we have that established, we have to figure out the best way to actually get onto the freeway. So what I'm thinking is some sort of overpass might be nice. So why don't we go forward with that concept? Yeah, lots more terraforming to come. I think one of the issues I'm having is with the road guidelines on, which will come in handy, but not necessarily right now. Okay, that far, that far. Just want to make sure that these are even. That is certainly not even. Okay. So this way we'll be heading out of town. So we need to get one of these across. So let's raise this up. I want to be as gentle with this as I can be if I want it to work all right.
So beautiful. I am in heaven. Yeah.
Okay. And then one of these will be back in. So I need to get this up and over that.
You should go now. Run. No. I won't leave you here. We can run together. Listen. If we
Didn't
together,
quite go high enough there, and that is kind of ugly, truthfully, so I might remedy that first.
they will kill you.
Thankfully, got my mods back,
I will help them. I want you to promise me the survival.
so that is really helpful.
For our country.
And I think I figured out what happened there. My wife likes the game as well from time to time, and she was logged into our Steam account. So what we ended up with was, for some reason, my mods were all disabled. Okay. Something like that, and then maybe on-ramps there and there. Okay, so let's turn this into a highway. Okay, so that's going in, out. Out. Okay, so I do watch a lot of other Let's Play videos, and one of the things that I found very interesting is the idea of that Biffa frequently talks about with lane mathematics. I think that there is certainly some truth to that. So this is one of the challenges of doing this. Is you can end up in a situation where you're just a little bit off. And I'll fix some of those issues that we see there later. Okay. Let's get this road back the way it should be. So I really don't want pedestrians crossing here, so at least at grade. If I can, I might eliminate that crossing right there. But as you can see, I think that what this will do is really improve traffic flow through here. Maybe it's not perfect or the prettiest in the world, but I think it's okay. Can always do a little bit to improve it. The joy of mods. I'm sure there are many a city engineer that wish that they could go through and after the fact, or many just traffic engineers in general wish that they could go in after the fact and make those kinds of tweaks. Oops. Gonna get a little perfectionist on this. Just want it to look very natural, and it already, there's some, that is, whoa, is that steep. Do not like that. Let's see if there's any way that I can improve that at all. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Which I just did. I don't know why. Maybe when I soften some of this, it'll get a little better. So I'm going to soften this up a bit and see if that improves things at all. Still kind of rough, but I think it's a little bit better. I think the main problem is potentially where it's joining, but I'm not going to worry about that too much right now because we have other issues. So now I have this arterial road collector road kind of abruptly ending. So I have an idea for this. And that is to kind of loop back around and find a point where I could cross the road relatively safely. This road right here. And use that as a launching point for the new highway. So what I think I'll do is I'll bring this down until it's straight. And then what I'm going to want to do is be able to meet up with the highway. So let's see if I can make that happen. All right. Management here. Okay, so now the next issue that I see is the connection to this industrial area has to occur by looping back around. I don't want this to be completely severed from the rest of the community, so I think that we're going to want to find some way to meander up there. And I think this is going to be a challenge, truthfully. It's kind of a weird sloping area, but I'm going to try anyway. Might take a couple attempts. Yeah, so this is what I was afraid of. I don't want a bridge, but at the same time, I do need to figure out a way to connect these roads to relieve traffic. Otherwise, we're going to have a gigantic bottleneck. So I think that one of the main reasons that there are issues here is the grade. So I want to soften this to try to do whatever I can to make this work. So let's give it another crack. Hey, I think I see a path. Oh, yeah, I like that. I mean, I don't love it, but I like that it works, and really that's what I'm looking for, because either way, I think this needs to be a roundabout, and I'm going to throw a 3-lane roundabout in there to handle all of this traffic. And then because I am using mods, I have the ability to be a little more flexible. I think that we're going to try to improve traffic flow generally, and I would like more roundabouts to do so. So I'm in Wisconsin, which is, interestingly enough, one of the originators of, the mass proliferation of roundabouts throughout the U.S. We love them here. In fact, it was interesting when I lived out of state. It's fascinated to attend a webinar where the key speaker was from the area I live in now, where they were talking about roundabouts and the success that we've had in Wisconsin with them. So just kind of an interesting aside. So one of the things I think I'm seeing as a problem, so as I'm looking at this overall transportation network, so now we have a nice way into the downtown area, we have a nice way into the industrial area, and a reliever, a circulation pattern. To get from this industrial area or this area along the riverbank to get over here, you gotta hop on the highway. So I think I want a reliever, some sort of bypass, particularly for trash. So I think I'm going to create that right now as well. So I think that using a highway here is probably a good option. So I'll throw a little bypass highway in. And take a guess. I am going to use another roundabout. So the wonderful thing about roundabouts is that they, first of all, just from a practical standpoint, they are a little more expensive up front to build because you have a lot of engineering work to do. But in the long run, cheaper to operate than a signalized intersection. The types of accidents you see generally are going to be less severe, fender benders, side swipes rather than head-on collisions. And rather than forcing traffic to come to a complete stop, it allows it to slow down. So you end up with improved traffic flow, and overall traffic speeds are better because those vehicles aren't coming to a stop. So that's why I think that this is probably a good solution for this area. Huh. That's a bummer. Okay, so I think we're at a point now we can at least give this a shot, see how it works. So let's go. And why don't we take a look at our traffic flow as we're doing this? So I think it'll be fascinating. So already we jumped up to 70, we're back at 69. So I can see already that we have one bottleneck that we have not resolved, and that bottleneck is right here, the main intersection into the city. So I think that this might be another good opportunity for a roundabout. Let's see how that, oh, look at that. Now we're hopping up. Now we're doing good. So I don't think I managed the lanes here either. So this might be another opportunity. Clearly we don't want people going straight through. Okay, we have the right movements there. A little bit of backing up here. So I think I might also dictate that movement a little bit. And if they have to weave through here, that's fine. And I took away a pedestrian path that was actually well used, so I'm going to put that back. Let's get it across the road first. Okay. So now we have a nice way into the downtown area, roundabouts to get across the street. Seems like it's working okay. Now I didn't rezone these areas, and that's probably something I should take care of. By probably, I mean it absolutely is. I think I want to transition, step down a little bit. Whoops, whoops, whoops. I don't want high density. And get some of that ground pollution gone that we are experiencing near these residential properties by putting in some commercial in this area. Either way, this wouldn't be a very desirable residential property anyway. Just reasonably busy roads, industrial area right next to it, just not a deal. Couple of properties. All right. So I like what I'm seeing. I don't see any traffic stopping. I see free flow everywhere. Now we're moving in this part of town. Let's see where we're at with traffic. 83% for a second there. 83. That is awesome. So I think I want to get rid of this cemetery. I have an idea. I think that this would be a great location for a bus depot. So I'm going to let that empty out. So I was really giving this some thought. So I asked you guys where you wanted me to expand. You said expanding over here would be a great alternative. I agree. The one issue that I see is that we don't really have a way to connect up. So I think I need to purchase some more land. I'm going to do this for two reasons. I want access to this highway over here. And I also want to be able to create a loop throughout the community. So, start out, I think I'm going to create that loop around the community. And really, a lot of this is about city services. I want to make sure that the city services have the ability to loop around the community, because right now they don't. I think that if we could create some sort of loop connecting this collector road that we created before to that area down there, it could be incredibly valuable for traffic flow in the future. So that is my game plan right now. And then to connect this area up with the highway across the river. Like I said, my focus is almost 100% traffic in this episode. So that's why I'm doing a lot with traffic and not much with anything else. So I do have a few different canned intersection options that I've downloaded over time. I just want to see if I have one that's going to fit this area well. It's certainly a challenging area to fit something into. Oh, you know what? I think that this might do the trick. So I'm going to totally break the highway here. So I'm going to pause it for a second. All right. Let's break things to fix them. All right. So we're going to want this to connect up, obviously. So we've got our connection reestablished there. So here we're going to want the same connection reestablished. Of course, this is going to give me trouble. It's nothing would be fun if it were easy. That reestablished there. All right, fixed again there. I think we might take some lane mathematics BIFA advice through here. Why don't we fix some of this? Alright, now I'm thinking that we could probably get away with using a 2-lane highway to get across. Ooh, that is ugly. Alright, let's fix that. So we'll connect that up. That looks still a little janky, but better. Back. And we'll connect it right back up, I think. Alright. So now we need to make this connection here, and then we're all set. And it's going to give us trouble. That's okay. Still trouble. Right, that's okay. I can remedy this. The thing I love about Cities Skylines is that there's always a solution if you are patient. And I am patient. Sometimes. Some of this, for some of you know, it's kind of just like weird, janky stuff. Can get frustrating, but again, there's always a solution, particularly when you have mods. So that's why, you know, I know a lot of people love the console versions of this game. I don't think I could do it personally because I am very much a fan of the mods. So many things that I do in this game I do with mods. Ooh, and I break things. That looks better. Look at that. Let's see what this does for traffic. Oh, we loop back around. We're not going to allow that movement to happen. Now, at some point, I assume that we're going to see an influx of traffic coming down here. So let's see. Just out of curiosity, are we seeing some routes? Oh yeah, look at that. All right. So I'm thinking in the future, our next industrial area will be around here. And there's a couple reasons for that. We've got our water connection there, so that'll be beneficial. And we have lots of trees, and I'd really love to get a industrial area focusing on forestry in this area. So, okay, we've got that. I think we're looking good here. How's this going? Getting closer. Look at that, buttery smooth. Perfect. Down here, well, you know, not bad. Always going to be issues when you have industrial properties right off a main road, but it certainly could be worse. One thing that I have not looked at is how traffic signals are impacting us. So you got to be real careful, particularly near roundabouts. You don't want traffic backing up because of an intersection. So that's one of the reasons that I like the roundabout here. So I do think I'd like us to start thinking about transit. So I think that this would be a great spot for a bus depot. And I would like to make sure that we are only loading the buses onto a transit road. And once this is empty, this is where I'm going to put the bus terminal. And now when you're thinking about transit, there are many different kinds of systems that you can have. In the city that I live in, we have transfer points. So a few different bus depots, and everything pulses from those locations, and they go from depot to depot basically. You can also have a radial system, or you can have a system that just travels up and down main roads, attempting to kind of hit those points as frequently as possible. So I like this spot for a variety of reasons. First of all, it's not loading directly onto the collector, which kind of will serve to disperse traffic a bit, but it's still near it, so you can get a lot of routes there. It's close to the freeway, which will be really helpful since this is an inner city terminal. The first thing I think I want to do, so I think that the type of system, first of all, it's going to be real small to start. We'll see how it works. Want to go up and down these collectors and then have one loop through the industrial area. So let's start out with that. This bus stop spacing is important. So generally in denser areas, I like to space a little bit closer. The primary reason for that is you will see your stops overload if you don't space them adequately. And then I like to place them across the street from one another. I don't know how much it matters in cities, but in reality, it makes the system a lot more predictable. So we've got our first line. Let's do our second line, which I'm going to share this stop here. I think I want to actually avoid that roundabout if I can. I'm basically going to stop every block. Do a little bit of traveling through here. Now, because this is not quite as dense, I'm going to space the stops quite a bit more. People are willing to walk to bus stops, so no reason to have them on top of one another, unless the area is very dense. And then I said I wanted to have a third route that would go to these industrial areas. So I'm not even going to mess around with stopping anywhere besides the core industrial area. And it'll be a relatively quick route for now. Okay. So I think we could also benefit. So as I'm looking at these roads, they're not being utilized nearly to the extent that, the capacity that they could handle. So I think I'm going to actually take some of these down. So we have some bus lanes here and just a single travel lane. I think this will be beneficial in improving the noise in this area, because that is going to become a problem. One of the issues I know is, so now I have this bus route right in front of a right-hand only for the bus. So let's move this stop back a little bit. So I know that kind of violates the rule I just laid out, but works for me. And because I've now increased transit service in this area, I know that density will work here. So I think I'm going to go all the way back to here and increase the density. So before I do that, if you'll recall last time, I put this district in place to limit the height of buildings. So I like to do this to have a more natural progression towards development. I do not like when I see people developing a whole downtown in one crack. I just don't think it's very realistic. But to each their own. I do think that we could have a more dense area now. So why don't we go ahead and create that. and I'm going to increase the density in this entire area. Now we have at this point no office zone in the city, and the main reason for that is that we don't have a university. Now, I went to a university in a tower. I thought it was super cool, so I downloaded a tower university, and I'm using that asset for this particular university, and I'm just going to upzone a whole bunch of this. So bear with me for a second. So I know that we don't really have a need for housing right now, but I'm still going to increase the density of the housing. It'll fill in over time. It'll be interesting to see what this does to our traffic as people move in. Because in theory, I just increased the I'm going to move this out of the dense area. So in theory, I just increased the amount of transit. Things should be operating smoothly. But in reality, people are moving in, so traffic will be a mess. And just OCD cleanup work. Okay, let me make sure that I have everything covered. Yep. Oh, I got some out here. Don't want those upzoned. So the other thing I was thinking, because this is on a bluff, it might be really neat to have a gondola in the city. So I think that's the last transportation thing I want to do today. We don't have any parks. I think I might just add one park quickly as well. Improve the land values in this area. I might just check our public services a little bit, because I think we are severely lacking at this point. We have a ton of money. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Okay, so that should improve things there. All right, now we're filling in. Look at that. Just want to make sure, look at my policies. Okay, no density issues there. I'm hoping that some of these buildings will fill in and increase in size. It might take a little while. The other thing is I haven't really planted any trees, and that's something that I might do in the next episode. Let me know what you think about spending the next episode on beautification, because I think it could be a really fun way to kind of fill out the next episode. So I think that the gondolas are an underutilized asset in planning. In some other countries, they utilize them quite a bit. We utilize them at ski resorts, which is fine. But I think particularly in challenging topography, if we use them a little bit more, we could potentially see some benefit. So the reason why I link this up is there's a commercial area down here and not a ton of commercial up by these houses. So I figure, even though there's a walking path to get down, this might see some pretty decent utilization. There's also a high school down there. I'm thinking I also want to get one up to this dense area. So I'm going to try something different here. So let's get something at the end down here maybe. Maybe one over here. And maybe a mid stop, if I can. All right. So I find it to be easier to place these if you start both sides and then kind of meet in the middle. All right. So we have gondolas. Let's see how our first gondola is doing. Noise complaints. Oh, look at that. 346 passengers utilizing this stop. And here, our new one? Oh, none. That's not accurate right away. I assume that as this area fills out and becomes a little bit more dense, we're going to see more people utilizing this. We're starting to finally see a couple taller buildings, and that'll fill out as we go through this. I noticed that at this point we're getting a little bit long, so I might end it here. But thank you so much for joining me on this episode of A City Planner Plays City Builders. Please let me know if in the next episode you would like me to focus on city beautification, parks, if you want me to continue to grow the community and build out. Let me know what area you want me to focus on next. And let me know what you think about the changes that I've made. Let's take one last look at traffic. We'll see how we're doing. 85%. So as you can tell, we've made some significant improvements in traffic flow this episode. I think we're doing good there. We could start building some other districts. Tourism, I think, would be a good one. I do have most of the expansion, so we could work on some industry if we wanted to do that. Although we need to make sure that we have all of our bases covered for the basic minerals. We could certainly start on that. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And thank you so much again for watching the video. Please, if you liked what you saw, hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. I'll keep producing it for you. Thanks so much, and have a good one, everyone. Bye.